We're excited to launch the WCPSS K-12 Literacy Vertical Alignment website. This is a tool that PLTs can use to plan and analyze student performance data on the North Carolina ELA standards. This site will show all the ELA standards from kindergarten through 12th grade, and it highlights the skills and dispositions that are expected from students as they progress through the standards. When you access the site, you will see there will be suggestions for progressions and scaffolding for each of the standards. Before we take a tour of the site, let's familiarize ourselves with the North Carolina DPI resources that were used in the site's development. The North Carolina Department of Public Instruction provided school districts with 3 especially useful resources for ELA teachers around the progression of the standards and strategies to support students in scaffolding both below and extending above grade level. The first PDF document, the Vertical Progressions Highlighted Tool, shows the changes in each of the strands: foundational skills, reading, writing, language, and speaking and listening, from grades K through 12. This highlighted standards progression tool provides a vertical view of the North Carolina Standard Course of Study for English Language Arts. The resource allows teachers to see how each standard changes and builds from grade to grade as they progress towards college and career readiness. By using the vertical progression, teachers are able to determine if instruction is aligned to grade level expectations. The second resource that's available is the Learning Progression Documents. This resource brings further clarity to the skills and expectations measured by the North Carolina Standard Course of Study. Different from the vertical progression that shows how the standards build towards college and career readiness, each learning progression focuses on a singular standard and shows how the skills within the standard build towards mastery and extension. When determining a student's skill set within each learning progression, it's important that teachers ensure the formative assessment aligns with the standards that were taught. With that in mind, if a student's skill set falls within the beginning and/or the progressing towards mastery of that particular standard, certain misunderstandings may be evident, and/or the student may have only had a simple understanding of one or more parts of the standard. If a student's skill set falls within the applying phase, the student has shown evidence of the mastery of some, if not all, skills within that standard. When a student has shown consistent mastery of his or her grade level for a particular standard, then his or her skill set has moved into the extending phase, which prompts the teacher to provide more challenging learning opportunities. Once teachers determine students' progress towards standards mastery, then they can use this data to identify necessary strategies, scaffolds, supports, or extensions to meet students' needs. Students' skill set may fall across several parts of the learning progressions, so teachers should use their professional judgment when determining needed supports and/or extensions for students. To reach true grade level standards expectations, we know that students must be provided with grade level complex texts, topics, and tasks. When students are only provided with or exposed to independent reading level texts, they are not able to fully engage with the rigor expected of the skills found within their grade level standards. Grade level proficiency in and instructional alignment to the North Carolina ELA standards requires that students apply the skills within the standards to grade level complex texts. Each learning progression shows the skills students should know and be able to do by the end of each grade and/or course. The learning progressions emphasize that students' mastery is a growth process. The learning progressions should not be used to group, categorize, or track students. This resource is meant to help educators explore formative student data to avoid inequitable outcomes that limit the expectations held for students. Scaffolding is a temporary support provided to students to help them achieve a learning goal with increased independence. Succeeding with grade level content and instruction can be a difficult challenge when there is a range of student mastery. Some educators try to overcome this challenge by modifying assignments or instructing students with text below their grade level. However, providing students with modifications or text below grade level contributes to the opportunity gap. and thus the achievement gap between struggling students and their non-struggling peers. When students consistently complete work and tasks below grade level, they are missing opportunities to learn and practice skills they need to progress to the next grade level or make their life's goals achievable. This resource is organized by strand to bring attention to the potential barriers or roadblocks that students may face in the strands of reading, writing, speaking and listening, and language within the North Carolina ELA standard course of study. Teachers can use this resource to determine possible scaffolding strategies that can be used to help students succeed with grade level texts and aligned ELA instruction. Students' needs may vary, so ELA educators should use their professional judgment when determining whether the scaffolding strategies should be used one-on-one, in small groups, or with the whole class. Before using the scaffolds listed in this resource, teachers should formatively assess their students to determine their progress towards mastery and determine the students' learning barriers. Our literacy department wanted to create a website that combined all of these wonderful DPI documents into one interactive site for teachers that would be a one-stop resource for standards progression and aligned scaffolds and extensions. So let's take a tour of the website to show you how these three resources from DPI have been integrated for you to use as part of your instruction. The website incorporates the standards vertical progression, the learning progression for each standard, and scaffolds into one spot. You can either click on the standards button, the scaffolds button, or you can access the scaffolds and standards by the drop-down menu in the upper right-hand corner. Although the format may look different from the static documents in NCDPI, the content has not changed. Let's now take a look at the website. When you access the website, you will see, as I just said, the standards, the scaffolds, and up here you will also see the drop down of the standards and the scaffolds if you'd like to access it that way. Let's take a look first at the standards button. Click on standards. You will see the standards by strand: reading informational, reading foundational skills, literature, informational text, writing, speaking and listening, and language. Notice here are links to the static documents that I referenced earlier in the presentation. So let's just take a look at reading literature. Click there. It will take you to the RL standards. Let's focus on RL.1. Notice here when I go to RL.1, it shows the vertical progression of the .1 standard from kindergarten through 12th grade. Instead of the changes being highlighted as in the DPI document, the changes here are the bold. So you will see as the changes progress, that's where you'll look at the bolded text. Now let's look at the progressions of a standard. Let me go to RL 4.1. If I click on that, it will take me to the progression within the standard. So here, as I stated before, you will see for RL 4.1 where that beginning, progressing, applying, and extending part of the standard is. Here are resources around potential roadblocks and impacted standards and scaffolds that relate to this standard. So you can click here, which will take you to potential scaffolds. I'm going to go back to home. Then I'm going to go up here and I'm going to show through scaffolds. I'm going to just choose language scaffolds. When I go to language scaffolds, you'll see limited vocabulary language, complex sentence structure, limited background knowledge, transfer of skills to speaking and writing, and clarifying the meaning of unknown words. So let me click on clarifying the meaning of unknown words. Then you will get information about how you can use scaffolds when you need to clarify the meaning of unknown words. It also shows you which standards are supported through this strategy. Go back to the home. and there you will see. So we hope that PLTs will find that this is useful, and instead of clicking through many PDF documents, you will see it's all interrelated. So the guidelines for use of the website. As PLC, consider these questions. Where are we now in terms of the standards students learned in the previous school year? And where are we going this school year so that students can succeed? Consider what you want your learners to know, understand, and be able to do by the end of the school year. And as you provide assessments, use the standards progression and vertical progression documents to determine where you will see and need to provide scaffolds and/or extensions. Then, based on your analysis of the data, determine which scaffolds or extensions may be necessary to meet the needs of your students. We hope that this will be a helpful tool for all of you. We encourage you to reach out to your grade level ELA content specialists if we can provide more support. Thank you so much.